이렇게네. 첫 번째 거는 막 되게 막 development, 두 번째 거는 막 friendship, love.
이건 도파민.
자기 스스로를 찾아서. 근데 이건 진짜 그냥 pure 도파민.
이런
것도 해야지.
언제까지 자기 개발만 하고 있을 거야.
If your life
근데
is
얘는
boring,
이런 거를 되게 웨이스트 오브 타임이라고 생각하니까
도파민 얼마나 재밌어.
오히려 사람들 이런 걸 좋아할걸?
아니 이런 거에 자기 가치관을 찾을 수 있다니까.
맞아.
뭐 okay.
내가 어떻게
In that
잘하고
sense,
있는지
if
알아.
your life is boring, read this.
막장 드라마는 좀 피곤하고
막장 드라마인데 이해가 돼.
난 사실 이거 되게 야동 같았거든.
너가 그렇게 자세히 나오지 않았어?
되게 자세했잖아. Especially when Sam and Rachel. When Sam
아니 너
manipulates.
브리저튼도 본 사람이
근데 you know what?
Bridgerton
I think
있을까?
novel can become more 야해.
아 그래?
Because you know, like visual wise, when we watch drama or movie, yeah, we can see, and that's what we get, what we
That's
perceive.
the attractiveness of book.
We don't know how they look like, so we
See?
have an image in, like Robert. I bet we have different images in our head. Like
See?
top guy.
So it's a really fun point that when this book is being visualized by movie or
movie.
drama,
한다고 했는데.
it's really interesting that realization of our imagination in the screen.
Right,
That's
right.
why fans of the book really don't like dramas because they have like
Sometimes
와장창.
it's 와장창.
Anyway, books kind of like stimulates all my imagination.
That's why you have to. It's our third book club, and I chose the book Bad Summer People by Emma Rosenblum. And a little bit of background, I wanted to be first a light read because we're on vacation and we were planning this book club in Bali. And I also wanted to be a mystery, and I also wanted to be based in summer. So I actually Googled summer reads, good summer reads, and it took me a very long time, but I landed in this book. It was recommended by Vogue, and overall I think it was a good choice because it met all my intentions, and it was a light read. And I kind of worried, to be honest, what I was going to talk about. But in the end, overall, it made me think about like human nature. Because up till now, we always talked about good relationships, love, friendship. But the exact opposite, betrayal. Betrayal between friends, partners, neighbors, and so on. So I think it was a good contrast to whatever we talked about earlier. And I think that's about it for introduction.
I also agree that this is a really suitable book for summer book club, especially in Bali. This is a book about the upper class, right? So I am wondering if author intended to divide the characters in books and the common people. Maybe author intentionally divided it by showing the upper life, but it also could happen in common life of modern people, I think. So I felt that I saw the really darkest side of human being, which is more scary since it could be happen around us. So it might be interesting if we talk about that kind of thing.
When I first heard Jisoo's intention of choosing this book, I was a little scared and a little nervous because I'm not the one who enjoys thriller or mystery. But at the end, I think it's not a thriller, but more of a romance. Not rom-com, but romance because I haven't really seen this much relationship, this much dynamics in one single book because, you know, like we could see so many characters with so many different relationships, so many gossip all over the place, and everything was actually about love, you know, even though it was about like bad affair. Anyway, I think this is the mystery level that I can handle, but not too much, like Edgar Allan Poe. That thing, no. This kind of thriller mystery, I think it's okay. And since but most of the people were married couples, it kind of like gave me a chance to think about my own marriage. Like I'm a newlywed, but like what would happen? I'm not talking about the affair later on, but like what would, like how...
You have kids.
I know. How would it be like when we have kids later on? And how would it be like getting old, like later in 40s, 50s, and 60s? So it was fun, actually. It was fun. But at the same time, as the story goes on and on, I found myself keep saying like, 미친놈들. 도라이들 아니야? So it was kind of fun. It was kind of fun. So yeah.
I am satisfied that it was a fun book.
It was a fun book. It was a very fun book.
I wanted to be a fun book that made you keep reading.
Right.
Personally, I wanted to talk about Mika. Really, Mika is a really interesting character. So he is the character that we can really resonate. I think Mika is the character that sees the
Whole view.
like
a third-
like a reader. I think.
Like third party view.
And he is somehow related to the situations, but he always keep his distance. So readers can identify him with
with
Mika.
themselves.
And I think the last chapter of Mika is also interesting.
Why?
He finally decide to do something like really ethical thing, right? I think this is also kind of
다면적.
two faces. He denies it and he
Kept everything secret.
kept everything secret and kept distance. But in his real life, he tries his own best and want to be better person. And I think the way of his being a better person is also a thing that he could do it because he is in upper class.
Because he's free to make those decisions. He doesn't have to make a living. I agree that Mika is a good person in this book. At least he wants to do something good. He wants to be ethical. Nobody else in this book wants to be ethical. They just want what's good for them because he has that choice. He doesn't have to make a living like Robert does. And it's really multidimensional because he's a gay, portrayed as a gay character. So it's like a minority, but he's also privileged. So
Right,
it's a really curious character.
Who do you relate most? Why? Or if you need to choose one character, who would it be? Why?
The first question, who do you relate most, was the question that I wanted to ask you because there was actually none that I could relate to.
Okay.
Because I, these are all fiction. Like, how could I?
Or someone that you think at least it's
Understandable.
understandable.
Okay, understandable. Okay.
Intentions.
Okay. Then for normal person, I think it's Larry.
Larry, really?
Who hired Robert because it was kind of interesting that Larry actually knows everything that Robert does. But the reason why Larry hired Robert is because he doesn't want Robert to be spoiled or go further.
But he also ignores his word, right? He was a
No.
crime.
He thought that if he hires him, Robert, then Robert will somehow stop all those stupid, dumb things.
But at the same time, he ignores crime.
For him, for Larry, that money is nothing.
Right.
And he knows that the people that he stole from, they're all rich.
But do you still think that Larry doesn't think that Robert will...
Susan?
I don't think so.
Oh.
I don't think
Really?
anybody knows.
Anybody.
Because Larry watched it that Susan already knew that Robert
was stealing.
stealing.
So Larry knew the whole situation that Robert was stealing and Susan found out. So maybe he could have connected the dots.
Right. Maybe he could
Maybe, but
Dog
maybe
audit.
not. I think what Larry really focused on was helping Robert to come out of that situation. Because, really?
Really? So you think that Larry is a really good person?
Not
to
good,
helping him?
not good. But Larry's two sons were like bullshit. So he always had hope of having some 후계자 or someone who can actually help him and support him, right? And Larry thought that Robert was the perfect one because he was not from the upper class. He was not spoiled like his two sons, and Robert was still smart, right?
And hardworking.
Hardworking.
So you think that Larry's action is 80%
Goodwill.
Goodwill. Oh, okay.
Goodwill. So yeah, maybe if Larry thinks about connecting all the dots, maybe he could have a hint of it, of Susan's death, but he doesn't have to.
He's not even curious.
Yeah, he's not even curious. And everyone knows what happened to Dave. Larry also mentioned that I don't want that kind of thing happen
None of my
again.
business,
And
right.
none of my business at the same time. And when Dave stole everyone's money, no one actually cared but Susan. Because that money, it's such a penny for them.
But I think this is the different perspective because I don't think that Larry's action is 80% goodwill. I also think he's bad. Not bad, but his own
Selfishness?
will. Not selfishness, but I don't think it's for Robert, but
For
just
himself?
For himself.
Because he needs someone.
He needs someone and also 투영하다.
Oh, so he sees himself in Robert.
In Robert. So he wanted to help him somehow, but I don't think it's really 80% goodwill.
My number one worst person was actually Jason.
Jason.
Yeah.
Oh.
Because yes, Jen was having an affair with Jason, and yes, Jason was only one of them. of Jen's cheating partners. But Jen at least wants to and tries to keep her family and keep her marriage. Somehow, she acts smart, like ditching Jason, showing respect or sorriness to Sam, or I don't know. At least Jen wants to keep her family because Jen knows what's good for her, for Jason, Sam, and for her kid. But for Jason, he just doesn't give a fuck.
He's like, I love Jen.
I love Jen. He doesn't care about Lauren, about his kids, family, reputation, friend, society, job, nothing. He only cares about himself, and that's why he only sees I love Jen. And do you remember like how desperate Jason was? He wants to announce the relationship, that we're in love. He doesn't think that it was an affair. He thought that they are just in a pure love.
It's like,
I know. He wanted to be public just in order to be accepted or just to be, I don't know, acknowledged as a official, legit couple. He really didn't care about anything. So I thought Jason is number one bad guy. Sam was actually the one that I could somehow think as a normal person. From the very beginning, he was just okay.
I think the ending of divorcing with Jen is the kind of normal person.
Yes.
a normal response.
Yes. His action, his behavior, his speech, his relationship with other people. 뭐 있어? 도마뱀. It's another one. Anyway, so all the everything that came from Sam was just understandable. If Jason was a good guy, good father, good husband, like Sam, then would Lauren cheat on somebody else?
No.
Because she cheated on Jason because she wasn't getting enough attention from her husband.
Lauren really took care of her kids. She really thinks about her family. Like family and her not marriage, but family itself is everything to Lauren. And do you guys remember her whole topics, conversation-wise, was about family and the kids and education and everything. Why? Because to Lauren, family is a thing. So if Jason loved her, then those two guys could be in a good love relationship. Nothing would happen, you know? So for me, I do understand Lauren.
I don't think Lauren is a bad character.
As Lauren cheated on Robert, but that was just like 한여름밤의 꿈.
Even Robert says he felt he was being used.
right. See, yeah. 인간은 다면적이야.
So she really looks into human minds.
I know.
Most mystery novels, there's this psychopathic killer, and he's the culprit. But this, it's like everyone is.
I know.
bad.
Everyone's bad.
But you can kind of understand.
I
their
know.
motives.
We can't just blame hard on that person.
So it's bad, but somehow I could understand that, right?
So
They're
bad,
people.
some are people.
Oh, 무지개. 저기. 저 사이에 무지개 저기 구름. 핸드폰으로 나올까? 찍어봐.
오늘 만족스러웠어요. 디스커션.
나올 수 있을지 잘 모르겠지만.
근데 이게 되게 좀 안 좋은 게 I don't want to give them spoiler, but the whole book discussion has to be about
어쩔 수 없어.
the whole story.
아무도 안 내릴 거라고 생각해.
디스커션은 그 스포일러.
그치, 할 수밖에 없어, 그치.